This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source on San Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM and Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. All right, Houston, this is Gilbert Garcia of another episode of A Tip from Gilbert. Thank you very much for joining in. And of course, you can call in anytime on 832-570-8075. And I have a very special guest for me today. And of course, he's a gentleman. And second of all, he's like somehow everybody's bishop. And that's Bishop Dixon. Bishop, welcome to the show.
Oh, Gilbert, thank you so much.
And I wanted to have you on because I had you before. Of course, we had a great time, me and you.
Man, and I'm still thinking about the interns you had, and that was a marvelous, unforgettable experience.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah, you do such a great job with mentoring and bringing up new generations of business leaders and thought leaders. I just felt special that you allowed me to interact with them.
Well, thank you for that. And at the end of the day, remember, everybody needs a hand up.
Yep.
And you know what? I don't say a hand out, a hand up. Mm-hmm. And of course, someone gave me a hand up in life. And that's really the way to continue to keep going. The world goes round.
Yes, indeed.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, of course, everybody's congressperson. And we're really going to celebrate the life of Sheila Jackson Lee today on this show. And she was something else. I mean, it's like one of those things you can't help but to do that. Everybody zoom in on this on the video. You just can't help but to just go, man, she was something else. Am I right, Bishop?
Gilbert, there are some people that you can describe in 2 or 3 words. Mm-hmm. Or when you start thinking about adjectives to describe Sheila Jackson Lee, you know, the superlatives, you run out of them, and they still don't quite measure up to describing what a phenomenal human being, what a phenomenal woman, what a phenomenal mother, what a phenomenal wife, what a phenomenal community leader, what a phenomenal grassroots activist, what a phenomenal legislator, what a phenomenal mentor. You just can keep going. Yeah.
And when you reach her bio,
yes, oh God,
it's like 100 pages long.
Yeah,
and I bet you it's not even everything.
It's not everything
because there can't be everything really, because you can't keep up with all the awards, all the accolades, and all the different things that she did. And we're going to talk a lot about her. I think we already have a caller. Oh, look at that, Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke.
Let's bring him in. Beto O'Rourke, are you there?
I am.
Mr. Beto O'Rourke, thank you for calling in to A Tip from Gilbert. You are on 5 stations today, right now, including KWWJ, Keep Walking with Jesus, of course, KYOK, the legendary, KCOH, the Source, Aliento, and San Geek Radio. And I have a guest today, which is, of course, you probably know him, Bishop James Dixon. And Beto, we're talking today about an extraordinary human being, and we're reflecting on her life, and that's Sheila Jackson Lee. And she was just an incredible person, and you knew her in the house, right?
Absolutely. I served with her for 6 years. And let me first just begin by saying good morning to Bishop Dixon. And yes, I know him, and more people in Texas and this country need to know him because he's an extraordinary leader for human rights and civil rights and voting rights, and very, very proud of the work that he's doing, again, not just for Houston, for this country. And Gilbert, thank you for having me on. Yeah, I knew Sheila from the moment I stepped on the floor of the House of Representatives in January of 2013. And, you know, I don't need to tell you, but she was just an absolute force, and yet she was also extraordinarily generous and kind. And let me tell you just a quick story. The reputation Sheila had, even before I got there, was of a prima donna, of a queen, of somebody who demanded a lot from the people around her, and a level of respect that maybe other members of Congress didn't demand. That was kind of the caricature of Sheila Jackson Lee.
Mm-hmm.
But what I came to understand is that she carried herself with an extraordinary level of dignity and expected you, no matter who you are, the President of the United States, a member of Congress, the janitor cleaning up after we're leaving the committee room, to treat her with that level of dignity and respect that she had earned through the things she had done in her life, and that she was owed just as a human being. But let me tell you the other side of this. She also made sure to give that level of respect and dignity to everyone that she ran across, whether that was the President of the United States, another member of Congress, or the janitor who was cleaning up after we left the committee room. And in my town of El Paso, Texas, which I represented in Congress, I came to that institution with a mission to make sure that the people that I represented and served were treated with respect and dignity, because I felt like we never really had been. We were written off as this dangerous, dusty border town with these Mexicans who were coming in to invade, and we had to put up walls and militarize the border and take care of these rapists and criminals who were coming to get us. And it was absolutely tearing up my town, and it was hurting the people who lived in what was one of the safest cities in America.
Wow.
Sheila and I served on the Homeland Security Committee in the House, and when she heard me describe my community, she took up that banner, and as one of the most senior members and one of the most powerful members on that committee, she took my fight, this junior freshman member of Congress that nobody's ever heard of and nobody could give a dang about. She took up my fight and made it hers and said, you will treat the people of El Paso, Texas with the respect and the dignity that they are owed and that they deserve. And I just tell you, she has done that for me and for my community. When the terrible August 3rd, 2019 shootings happened at the El Paso Walmart, almost 5 years ago to the day, the first member of Congress to come to El Paso, Texas, and to console those victims and to be with those families was Sheila Jackson. Though she represented a district 12 hours down on I-10, she was the first there, sitting right next to me in the pew at these churches, at funeral after funeral after funeral. And she did that for the folks that she represented in the 18th district. She did it for anyone, anywhere. And so that dignity, the way that she carried herself, she sought to convey that to others that she met throughout her life, and folks that she would never meet, but whose lives were made better by her leadership and this position of power and public trust that she made the absolute most of.
Wow, what a great story. Now, that's the Sheila I know too. But I mean, to hear it about the halls of Congress, I mean, I know it as just a sort of a everyday person. And let me tell you one real quick, and the bishop's dying to say something.
I'm blown away.
Yeah, stay with us, Beth. Stay with us, please. I know you're busy, but please stay with us for a couple of minutes. When I was getting my vaccination, and I went over to Booker T, and there was, we were all getting vaccinated there in the gym. There was Sheila.
Yes.
Just walking up and down, making sure that everyone got vaccinated. That she was there just observing, making sure everyone got what they needed. Yes. And I thought, wow, here she is doing that. That's incredible.
Yeah. Hey, my friend Beto, good morning, man. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm great. I'm here in El Paso. It's the first day of school in the El Paso Independent School District. So we just sent our kids off to their senior and junior years in high school and 8th grade and middle school. So it's a big day in their work household. But when I heard from Gilbert that you were going to be on the show and that you all were talking about Sheila Jackson Lee, I told Amy, hey, this is super important. I want to be here for this one.
Well, listen,
it's good to hear your voice.
Great to hear yours, and thank you for everything that you have always done and continue to do, and your compliments are most gracious. When we talk about Sheila Jackson Lee, and I'm listening to you tell this story, the real phenomenal thing is she did that for Beto O'Rourke and the people in El Paso. But there are so many other people she did this for around the nation, Gilbert.
Yep.
I mean, this was not uncommon for Sheila. All of us would like to think she was just that special person for me. But the truth of the matter is she was like almost omnipresent, and she never saw a problem she didn't feel responsible for solving. And she never saw human need that she didn't feel responsible for ministering to. And that was the drive of Sheila Jackson Lee. There was no jurisdictional issue. It was not territorial. It was not geographic. It was not even, listen, it didn't matter. If you were in need, there was a crisis, Sheila Jackson Lee, something inside of her said, that's my assignment to join you in it.
Well, you know, Beto, what struck me with your words was, you know, when you think about members of Congress,
Yes.
I mean, look, that's like, what is it? The Mount Olympus, right? I mean, that's where all of
it's
our,
a pantheon.
that's right.
Yeah,
that's, you know, and we all understand the importance, and you represent so many people. And there she is caring about the committee janitors, to make sure that, you know, are they okay? I mean, that is her. I mean, Beto, I'm so glad you shared that story with us.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, she was extraordinary. And just to build on what the bishop just shared, you know, it was everyone, regardless of whether they lived in the 18th congressional district, though that's where her heart was and where she spent most of her time. But it was across the country. But it was also around the world. I mean, what other member of Congress at their funeral would have the ambassador from Pakistan or the ambassador from Jamaica speaking about the impact that she made on the people in those countries? But she really did. She really did.
And she was never there just as a figurehead to take for a photo op. I mean, we do know that there are some who show up at these places of crisis. Right? They take the photo op, and they take 2 or 3 different poses to make it look like they were really served. Sheila Jackson Lee would roll up her sleeve, and you know, but I'm on a board called Samaritan's Feet. We do shoes for poor children around the world. We've done over 10 million pairs of shoes already.
Wow! And
when we do these shoe giveaways, we wash the children's feet and share encouraging things with them. And we had a deal with 5,000 children, the largest ever. 5,000. Sheila Jackson Lee, early in the morning, on the campus with me, washing feet all day.
Oh my God.
All day, putting shoes on these children's feet, talking about their lives. Where's your mother? What grade are you in? And to watch her do that on her knees. And I'm saying people don't, because that's not a news story, right?
Right.
But that's the Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee that we know, love, and will miss, and will be trying to emulate, because when you bring that kind of servant heart to Congress and it turns into public policy, then it blesses people across the nation and around the world.
Well, Beto, our firm sponsored one of the things where Thanksgiving for the city of Houston there, George R. Brown. And so we did it like 2 or 3 years in a row. And I was there, of course, and we were serving food to people. She was there.
Yes. Yeah.
And she was there serving, you know, I think she was doing the dressing. She was the dressing lady. She was serving dressing for like 2 hours.
Wow, yes.
And she did it with just, you know, humble and big, you know, that big Sheila smile of hers. She had that big full of teeth smile.
Yeah.
And it was just a beautiful thing. Well, Beto, did you ever get a chance? Oh, you go. I was just going to say, did you travel with her? Or you go ahead. You go, Beto.
I did. I traveled with her. I can't even remember the places that we went to, both domestically and internationally. But I wanted to ask you all something. And I wonder how you felt when you were at the funeral and you heard this. You know, everything that the three of us are describing defines a woman who was always in motion, always on the job, who saw no limits to her portfolio. You know, it didn't stop at the geographic boundary of the 18th congressional district. It didn't stop at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or 7 p.m.
Oh, no.
Always on, all the time, everywhere. And I'm not the first person who, as I got to know her, wondered about the toll that it had to take on her personally, and then even more the toll that it had to take on her family.
Yeah.
And speaker after speaker, said to her husband and to Jason and Erica, hey, thank you for sharing your mom with us. And this got me, and I want to hear your all's thoughts. But Jason, who was one of the last speakers, Sheila Jackson Lee's son, is just an extraordinary person in his own right.
Certainly so.
But he said, all these speakers have said, thank you for sharing your mom. Let me just be clear. It was never my choice. I didn't choose to share my mom with the world, but it is something that I accepted. And then he said that her final question to him on her deathbed was whether or not she had done a good job as a mother. And of course, Jason answered that she had, and he really felt as though that was the last and maybe most important thing she needed to know before she let go. That had me and my wife in tears as we heard that, because you just saw Sheila as this like unbelievable power and force. And sometimes that can be dehumanizing. We don't think about the toll it takes on her as a person and her family. You all got to know her much better than I did because of your proximity to her in Houston, the work that you all have done with her. I just love to hear your thoughts on who she was as a person beyond the work, and whether that resonated with you the way it did with us when Jason spoke those words.
Well, let me say, Gilbert,
Please.
That my children, James the third, who's now, he starts his senior year, by the way, Gilbert, Beto, in a week. So my son, James the third, Victoria Elise, who's now a junior at TSU, Mariah and Nicole, who's a graduate of TSU, and Raven, my play daughter, who's a law student. They know Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee as Auntie Sheila.
No kidding.
And that's what they know. They know that's Auntie Sheila. That's all they've ever known. So they've never said Congresswoman. They know Auntie Sheila, because Sheila Jackson Lee treated them not like she was the Congresswoman, but like she is Auntie Sheila. When I say that, I mean at the house with house shoes on, or at the dinner table with my parents. Jason and Erica grew up eating dinners at my mother's table, especially on special days like Easter and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about dinner for 30 minutes. I'm talking about 3-4 hours the whole evening. Sheila loved just being who she was, and she was she's not artificial. And I think you're right, Beto. Sometimes we know people based on their titles and their professional contributions, which could be quite significant, as hers are. But Sheila Jackson Lee lived the life of a mother. She lived the life of a true friend. She didn't just call you to talk about business. Sometimes she would call you at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, my brother, I just haven't talked to you. How you doing? How's mom? How is dad? My mother was having a birthday celebration about 40 miles away from where Sheila was. She actually changed her flight. Left the airport, came to the restaurant, and spent 2.5, 3 hours. That's so Beto, when you talk about Jason and Erica, it is an extraordinary sacrifice. And children don't get to choose who their mom and dads are. And they did have to learn to accept that, but it's still a great sacrifice. Elvin is raising these kids, and he's a professor. He's a VP at University of Houston. He's all of that. What a man.
Yep.
What a man. And to raise kids who did not rebel, who never saw the fact that we're second, third in line. She made them feel special and honored. When Jason was in elementary school at St. John's school, and Sheila called me, my son's going to reach out to you, Pastor. He wants you to be his special guest, keynote speaker, mentor for his career day. And she called me at least 5 times to make sure I had it right. Because she was tuned in to what was going on in the lives of her children, no matter what she was, any day of the week.
And Beto, when you see them both, Jason's in Chicago, but when you see Erica, because we all sort of see her bopping around this and that, they're such grounded individuals.
Oh God! Yes.
Whenever you see that, the parents did a great job raising them, because they're they're very grounded, and they're very respectful human beings, and you can see when they talk about their mom how much they love her. How much they love her, and so that tells me volumes that she was there for them. She was a rock for them.
But no doubt. To their credit, they don't use their mother's gravitas in order to describe, define, and to elevate themselves. Like they're that grounded and that confident in who they are. I'm Jason. He's never walked. Hey, I'm Jason, Sheila Jackson Lee's son. I'm Erica. I'm Sheila Jackson Lee's daughter. Jason joined my church after he finished high school and was going to college. And better, you get a laugh out of this. He's attending my church, and she just said, Jason is loving your church, loving your church. She did not know that he also enrolled in seminary, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And when she found out, she said, "Why did you tell me I was raising a preacher?"
That's great. That's great.
I mean, fun stories. Stories.
Well, Bethel, you're so kind to call in, and I'd like you, if you don't mind, Bethel, to call in another time, because we'd like to know, and I don't want to, spring it on you, so we'll do it another time, which is, we need you, Bethel. And we need you. We need you. And I don't know what "we need you" means, other than we need you in the cabinet. We need you to be a secretary or something. We just need you back. We miss you. And you're one of those leaders that really cares about people, and we just need you, my friend.
Can I put this?
Go ahead.
Can I add a log to that fire?
Yeah, you go.
So Beto, we've done Souls to the Polls, and Sheila was right in the front with us, right? Getting the vote out, voter registration, voter mobilization. We got some more of that to do coming up now in this very pivotal election that we're facing for November 5th. And we've got to get everybody who can vote to vote, and we're working on that. And we're doing national calls every week with leaders. I want you to speak to these leaders, Beto. If you can, I'll give you some times. But more than that, tell us, what do you think is needed at the national level of leadership today, based on the climate that we're in and the terrain that's difficult, different, and very, 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 very slippery?
Well, I tell you, I'm talking to somebody in Bishop Dixon who has walked the talk and actually gotten this stuff done, regardless of position or title or praise, is make a difference. And there's a reason that Harris County and Houston has the leadership that it has today that is very different than the leadership that it had 10 years ago. And it's exactly the kind of work that you're talking about. And it's also being fearless in the face of intimidation, and sometimes being fearless in the face of what is conventionally thought to be popular or necessary to get ahead in politics. And I've actually seen you always grounded in those three things I talked about earlier, in addition to everything else you do, but human rights, civil rights, and voting rights, which are connected to every other single right and freedom that we need and far too often take for granted. And I would love, given the new energy and excitement that is coursing through our party right now, for our national leaders to just remind us who we are, what we are fighting for, and what it's going to take to get there. It is not going to be easy. I know we're still in the waning days of the Kamala Harris honeymoon, and I'm loving every single second of it. And I'm so grateful that she has ascended to de facto the nominee for our party. We also know, though, it is about to get incredibly brutal. We're up against one of the worst human beings who's ever held the office of the presidency, and I think he's gotten even worse since then as he tries to take it back again. So not only do we have to have her back, and not only do you have to be there for those of us who are Democrats because of our affiliation to the party, but I think we have to be there for the things that matter most in this country and that bring us together. And you and I, Bishop, have talked about this a lot. The folks who preceded us, you and I bonded over Lawrence Nixon here in El Paso, who founds the first chapter of the NAACP in Texas, and along with Lonnie Smith from Houston, breaks the white primary in 1944. Septima Clark and her citizenship schools across the South, helping people to register to vote. I mean, these folks literally were willing to give their lives, and some did, to achieve a true democracy in America, one that we're about to lose. Those of us listening right now, we've got to be willing to do our part in that proud legacy, or potentially lose it forever. And I hate to be apocryphal, and I don't want to say the sky is falling, because it's not, but we've got to get out there and do the work. And the two of you I know are doing it. You're doing it right now. We've got a group called Powered by People that's doing voter registration across the state. The Souls to the Polls that you just talked about is so essential if we're going to make it through. And then once in power, I really hope that the Harris administration will boldly take on some of these challenges that, for whatever political reasons, just have not been dealt with before, whether it's income inequality, whether it's restoring voting rights and civil rights that have badly broken down over the last 10 years, or from my part of the world, really rewriting our immigration laws and our border policy to reflect our values, to make sure that people feel safe and secure, and to guarantee that there are safe, legal ways for people to come here. I know I'm speaking to two people who are proud of the fact that Houston is the most diverse city in America. We see that as a strength. I want to see that reflected in our leadership. But Gilbert, totally accept your invitation to come back anytime. I'm a big fan of the both of you, and obviously have loved everything that we've done in Houston over the years. And even if it's only over the phone, much better in person, but I want to get back out there and back at it. So yes, invite me and I will be there.
Beto O'Rourke, thank you for joining us today. And you know what? You are a great human being, and we thank you for all that you've done.
Amen. Bless you, bro.
Thank you both.
God bless,
sir.
man.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
We're going to run. Yes, sir. We got so many callers that are on hold. Let's just put them through. Put them through.
Let me try for you one moment.
What a great guy he is, isn't he?
He's
He's so
man.
great.
Every time I talk with him, I'm inspired.
Yeah,
I'm all inspired.
it's all this energy he's got. Well, who's the next call? Put it up for me.
Alan,
Alan.
let me transfer you one moment.
Is there an Alan on the phone? Alan. Mr. Allen, are you there?
Mr. Garcia, how you doing today?
Alan, how are you? You got me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from Gilbert with Bishop Dixon. What do you got for us today, my friend?
I just came in and I heard you talking about Sheila Jackson Lee, and I want to thank both of you for being pillars in the community. And I actually have something special that I dropped off for you.
Oh, what's that?
It's actually
Oh, my goodness.
one of the last art pieces that has Sheila Jackson Lee's signature on it.
Oh my God.
From the Juneteenth
No way.
Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
That is
we established
incredible.
it with this, and a lot of the people that were involved in this is Alan Thornton. You know, for those of you that
I did not
don't
know that
I'm
was
from the Puerto
you.
Rican Company.
Now I know it's
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, just came in. I peeked in, peeked out. I know you have important people
That's
in the seat,
incredible.
but I couldn't let that sit in my house any longer.
Wow, you're such a gentleman. I'm hugging you on the phone. This is going to be hanging up on my wall here before
Before the day is over. This is an incredible piece,
Yeah, it's
Alan.
beautiful. It's beautiful. And I thank you. And, you know, I have a clip. We may not get to it because we have so many callers on hold now of Sheila Jackson Lee's last interview when she was interviewed by CNN about Juneteenth.
Yes.
And
yes.
So we'll be trying to get to that. Alan, thank you for this, my friend. And I will circle back to you, but I so appreciate you.
Absolutely. And just so everybody knows, we are building the Juneteenth Walk of Fame, similar to the Hollywood Walk of Fame for entrepreneurs and people right here in Houston. It's the last thing that she was kind of working on, and she even called in. Yeah, we had a call with her and all of our team on June 19th, and we did a huge testament. I didn't know it was going to be the last time that I would actually personally hear from her, but I'm looking forward to working on this with both of you, Bishop Dixon, and your work. I know you're going to continue that. I saw you at a few of the funerals as well, and both of you speak so eloquently. We look forward to not only working with both of you on this, but bringing this back to the city of Houston and to Sheila Jackson Lee to be the pinnacle of her legacy.
Thank you for this incredible honor, and thank you for this lovely thing, and thank you for bringing it. The timing couldn't have been better.
It's perfect timing.
Yes.
And Alan, I'm all down with working with you
Me too.
on this. I know Gilbert is, and I think you know how to reach me. I'm sure. Am I right?
I got your cell number. Yes, sir.
Perfect. Be sure to let me know what I can do.
Thank you, Alan. Well,
All right.
appreciate you,
Y'all
pal.
have a blessed day.
You too, my friend. What a great thing.
That's amazing.
Oh, yes. Let's keep going. I know we got about 2 or 3 more calls. I want to get them all in. I know we're probably going to have more. And if we get to that clip, I'd like to do it. If we don't, we won't be able to. But that's okay. So who's the next caller?
You have Isidro.
Isidro Garza. Isidro, are you there? Isidro Garza. Isidro.
A sus órdenes. Mayor,
Yeah, how are you, my friend? You got me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from Gilbert with Bishop James Dixon. We are talking about and celebrating the life of Sheila Jackson Lee. And I know that you and Johnny Mata were very close to her. What did Sheila mean to you?
Mayor, I just want to I just want to say that she's one of us.
Yes.
It's not a matter of skin color or what. She is familia.
Mm-hmm.
There's no time that we could not call her, and it went both ways. I remember the last time she called me around 9:30 or 10 at night. Something had happened. Somebody tried to say something bad about her, and she wanted a group gathering so that she could get media. And says, "When do you want it?" She says, "Tomorrow."
That's her.
That was her.
her,
That was her.
Yeah, that's her. So yeah, she was always there to help us. Never once did we not get help, and we were always on the winning side. If you were on her side, you were on the winning side. She would convince people. We miss her, and I was fortunate to be there when both Johnny and both Mayor Gilbert spoke, representing the Hispanic community, and you all did a fantabulous job. And first of all, we're honored that in that setting that you two were invited as our community leaders. And then when you spoke, you really paid the honor that not enough, but at least the honor that Sheila Jackson Lee deserved.
Well, see, that is so nice of you. You know, let me tell y'all both, you see, and Bishop's a little inside,
Yeah.
running for office humor. So I ran for mayor, and of course, I was bringing up a lot of issues about transparency and where the budget was, and of course, now we all know where things are.
Mhm.
And so Sheila Jackson Lee jumped in, and of course, I've been friendly with her for a long time. And I remember when she first jumped in, she said, "Gilbert, just remember something. You're my friend. You're not my enemy, and you may be my opponent, but don't forget, you're my friend."
Yeah.
And then with
Yeah.
time, you're gonna love this. And then with time,
Wow.
that's us giving out food there. What's funny is the word was, because it got kind of
Got it
contingent
rocket, yeah,
there
yeah.
for a little while. Not with her and the mayor, and everyone with the mayor, frankly.
Of course.
But the thing that was interesting is she always wanted to sit next to me. So
Yeah.
she would call in, the people would call in, and her people, and make sure that I was positioned next to
That's
her.
her. Wow.
Because you know why? We would always exchange notes,
Yeah.
busting on the other people.
Tag teaming.
We would always say,
Yeah.
we would do this fun stuff on the stage. There's us, me, there, and she always wanted to be next to me.
Let me clear the air a little bit.
Go.
if I may.
Go.
I got a doubt in my mind. Bishop, I called you a few days ago, a couple of times, because I had heard, and I did not do any of this until her body was laid to rest. But
Sure.
as soon as that happened, then we have to get on her mission and do the work for tomorrow. And I heard that possibly you were considering running for position. That very, very, very difficult position to follow. Barbara Jordan and now the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee. But I see not too many people that would come up to your credentials and your dedication to the work that needs to be done in the community. And I had heard that possibly you're considering it. Is there any truth to that?
Well, first of all, Isidro, I like you. While we were dealing with her passing and the burial and all of that process, and for me, as we said earlier, Gilbert, it was not a congresswoman for me; it was a sister and a friend. And so, going through the grieving process was first and foremost important. Honoring her life at her death was very important. But I'll tell you, I cannot express how humbling it is to receive such a wave of supporters from various parts of our community, with people expressing exactly what you are expressing now, and ready to vote, ready to donate, ready to walk, ready to march, ready to knock on doors. And certainly this role is pivotal for such a time as this, as we were talking a bit or Rourke about this a moment ago. The mission that Sheila Jackson Lee was on required someone who is a warrior with proven battle scars. And I think it's very dangerous to send people into a battle who's not proven to be a warrior.
Amen.
And I think that we make that mistake. It's not about, being smart is great, but being smart is not enough. Being articulate is great, but being articulate, and that's not enough. I think we've got to have someone who's proven with scars and who understands the issues. And if you have not been doing the work prior to that office, I don't think you're ready for the work in the office, right? And so I am seriously considering it. Very seriously considering it. I'm praying about it. I'm talking to my friends about it, and I'm being counseled about it. And it's a great challenge. But you think about Adam Clayton Powell was a pastor and a congressman. Floyd Flake, who's from Houston but in New York, was a pastor and a congressman.
I remember him.
Remember him, and even to this day, of course, Senator Raphael Warnock is a senator at Ebenezer Church in Atlanta, but he is a senator, and so it can be done. And I think Gilbert, and I'm weighing this very, very seriously, because we need to understand that Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, the brilliance of Craig Washington. Sometimes people don't talk about Craig, but Craig Washington is a force. And then to Sheila Jackson Lee, we cannot go back to status quo. This is time for change. It's time for revolution. And you cannot go there without the courage to lead and the compassion to serve. And that's really where I am. So I'll keep you posted as soon as I make a final decision, which will be very quickly. I'll be sure to let my friends know. And Isidro, thank you for even sharing that today. And I know you reached out to me. My father was in the hospital with major issues.
Oh, man.
And while we were dealing with Sheila's death and burial. But I've been praying for Brother Johnny too. You mentioned to me that he was ill. So just know that I'm very close to a decision, and I'll let you all know very quickly.
Very good. We hope it's a favorable one. You would do a phenomenal job. First of all, electability. There's a 43% of the district has changed. 43% is now Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
And so we worked together in the past on issues, and we continue to work on issues that divided. We don't get anywhere, but when we unite the forces of the Hispanic and African American community, we're a force to be reckoned with, and I think we call the shots. I think we're at the point now that we should elect whomever it is that's going to do most for our community, and that we're familiar with, and we've been in the battle in the trenches together, in the victories and in the hard times when we end up with a short end of the stick, and how we respond to those challenges. Everyone is a challenge. Even when we lose, we win. If we learn something from it and we move the agenda a little closer to where it should be. And I love the last conversation that we had to do with the beloved community, as Dr. Virgil Wood would say.
That's what it is.
Yes, if we can develop that community, we will then be doing God's work, and our communities will do better.
That is so wonderful. Listen, Isidro, I thank you so much for calling in. I'm hugging you. I'm hugging the phone. We got lots of callers.
You got 2 hugs.
Yeah. We're gonna keep going. But thank you, Isidro, for calling in.
God bless you all. Eh?
Yes,
God bless
yes.
you, my friend.
And, and while you've been talking, Bishop, there's been a lot of interesting things on the text, on the comments, and a lot of them were about you, saying great things about you. And I don't know if we can get any more of those up, but let's get Sean. Look at that one. We're ready when you are, Bishop. But there's been several. Great job, Bishop. You have my support. There have been several that have just been popping up here.
Wow.
Let's go ahead. Who's Sean? Sean, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Mr. Garcia. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course, my friend. You have me, Gilbert Garcia, and Bishop Dixon. And what do you got for us today as we reminisce and think about the incredible life of Sheila Jackson Lee?
Well, first of all, I'd like to start off by saying about Sheila Jackson Lee. I was blessed to be in her prison on several occasions. And the Friday that she passed away, the next morning, that Saturday, she was supposed to be a guest speaker at an event we was doing for an organization called Co-op, Chances of Hope and Prosperity, ran by Miss Natasha Wilson. She was going to be a guest speaker there. We got the news that she passed away that Friday night. And second of all, I've been under the leadership and mentorship of Bishop Dixon for over 30 years. Since I was 13 years old. He's somebody that I love, somebody I respect, and somebody that was one of the first men that actually affirmed me and spoke life into me and that set me on the journey that I'm on today.
Sean, that's beautiful, my friend.
Man.
That is so beautiful. Well, you know, I can hear it in your voice, how you feel. Tell us, what did she mean to you?
Which, like I tell my daughters, my nieces, because I was a mama's boy. I grew up as a mama's boy.
Aren't we all, Sean? Aren't we all? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. And one thing Sheila Jackson, she meant to me, like, she showed us that there was no limit. You know, some people say the sky is the limit, but I try to instill in my daughters, my nieces, and my granddaughters that it's no limit. Only limit is God. God, the one that set the limit. So don't tell yourself what you can't do, what you're not supposed to, what room you're not supposed to be in. Sheila Jackson Lee was a perfect example, a perfect model of all that.
Absolutely.
Amen. Well, I tell you what, we really appreciate you calling in, and I sure hope you call in again. We like to hear feedback from people, and we like to hear what they're doing and what they're how they feel. So thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you, Sean, man. God bless you, bro. God bless you.
Same to you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And I think Roberta Lee put on a thing there. You know what? I don't know how you know this was lemonade, but you're right. It's my lemonade. Someone told me it'll help me lose weight. It's not working, but I'm still trying. I'm still trying.
And it tastes good.
Yeah, I know. Let's go to the next caller. We have another caller. It's Robert. Robert, are you there?
Hey, what's going on, Gilbert?
Good, Robert. You got me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from Gilbert with Bishop Dixon, of course, and we are celebrating the life of Sheila Jackson Lee. What do you got for us there, my friend?
Absolutely, man. So this is Rob Slater.
Oh, great. I'm so sorry. Yes, of course. Keep going.
Yeah. So I was a candidate on the primary. We suspended our campaign and joined the Congresswoman. And just briefly, man, it has been an honor and a pleasure to get to know her in a short time. But as I say, I believe in God that it was the right time. And I'll just listen to her personal journey. And I can say that we shared a lot of stories and how influential my grandmother was in my life before her passing. And she was such a mentor on the human side, on the mother side, the protector side. Yeah. And during her battle in the political realm, I can say for me personally that I would have wished that a lot of more people stood up, not saying your political preference, if you support for office, this and that, but regarding her legacy and the things that she's done that people have forgotten about. That must go on and must carry on. And I think that a lot more people need to stand up to speak to that.
Sure.
There's a lot of more work that needs to be done, the George Floyd Act, so on and so forth. But from the human side, the mother side, I'm just blessed and honored to have gotten to know her. And as the bishop spoken earlier, or whomever the nominee will be, I wholeheartedly support that this is the time more than ever for a fighter to continue on what Ms. Jackson has established, but to also build upon. She is the foundation, and it's not the status quo. It's not politics as usual. This time it's more detrimental to the community that the right candidate that can transcend across all races, demographics, and age groups really embody, and I think it would do the Congresswoman great justice. So the Bishop, I thank you for your work, especially in the standing up for the 5 judges and things like that. I think we stood at that podium together.
Yes.
I think it's a lot more to be done. So thank you for speaking to that. This is not the time. I'm not going against no other candidates or nothing like that. But I will say this, Gilbert, if I made that, it's offensive to some of these people to take this time now as a popularity contest, musical chairs for races. It's not the time. The people need a fighter.
Amen.
The people need someone that's going to take them serious. It's time for some people to sit this one out. And I'll say that. So I thank you guys for what you're doing this morning.
Well, thank you for calling in. We really appreciate you. And those are good, strong words.
Thank you, Robert, man. And God bless you for what you do. And you know it's important because, when we were fighting to save HISD, look at the front line. Look at whose faces were absent. Fighting for those judges who was on the front lines. I mean, fight after fight after fight. And I tell people, if you're 20 years old, you decide to run for office, that's a good idea, right? And we're going to treat you kind. If you're phenomenal, you might maybe slip through the cracks because you got talent,
right?
But you don't have a track record yet, right? We don't expect it. Right. But if you are 35 years old and 45 years old, by then you should have some scars.
That's right. It's like, where you been?
Where you been?
Where you been?
Where were you?
That's right.
Where were you? And I think that we need to start asking those honest questions of people. And because at this point, your track record should speak for yourself. Someone was asking me the other day about leadership and how we get younger people involved. And I said, well, here's what you do. First, you serve under those who are leading. Then you grow to serve with those who are leading. And then eventually they will help you to elevate to serve over.
Right.
You can't start over. You start out serving under, then with, and then you serve over. And that's how you prove your leadership mettle. And I'm looking at this field and I look at others and I say, listen, I know you got a degree. I know you're articulate, you're smart, you're cute, whatever that is. But if you didn't serve under and you didn't serve with, what qualifies you to serve over?
Well, what gets me when you got, I'm going to run for this. Okay, that didn't work. I'm going to run for that. Okay, that didn't work. Yeah. I'm going to run for this. It's like each time, how do you go to the people and say, I really want to be this? And then it comes another one. And I really want to be that.
Yeah.
And then you raise money like, well, you raised money for that. But you know what? I was just joking. Now I'm going to run for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't add up to me. But
exactly.
But we appreciate your call. And please call in again.
Absolutely. And if I would say one last thing, you guys would say one great point. I think the people need to look at who chose District 18 first. You know, you can't jump from one race. This is not a consolation prize.
Yep.
This is not an afterthought. And it's a disgrace. This community, Texas, is on the verge of going blue. And the deficit of the votes that's needed is coming right out of Harris County, and it's at the heart of District 18. So you need a candidate that's going to mobilize, not just for this race and carry on for the community, but really take this moment to get behind Kamala and get behind Colin Allred as well. And as Bishop has stated, like you say, degrees will get you great. That's fine. The constituency, unfortunately, the majority don't have them same degrees, so you have to be relatable. It is the work that you have put in and what you're going to stand for. So to Bishop's point, let's look at who was there, who made those choices to stand up when it wasn't popular. Now, after the Congresswoman passing, everyone has a story about her shoes, and that was great. But when she needed certain people at the end, let's find out who was there and who stood up. So I thank you guys for what you're doing. And just keep up the good work, Bishop and Gilbert.
Robert, thank you for calling in. You're a good man and a good soul. Thank you for calling in. Much. We're going to keep going. I'm going to try to get one more, and then we'll go to a little bit of the clip, and then we'll do let's take Mrs. Lee. Is there a Mrs. Lee there? Mrs. Lee, I'm sorry if I think you were holding for some time, but Mrs. Lee, are you there?
Miss Lee?
Miss Lee.
Miss Lee?
Mrs. Lee.
One moment.
Or Miss Lee. Miss Lee, are you there?
Yeah, she's there.
Miss Lee.
Hi, Gilbert. How are you?
Well, you have me and Gilbert Garcia with a tip from Gilbert with Bishop James Dixon. What do you got for us today?
I love the bishop. Hello, Bishop. How are you? God bless you.
Oh, God bless
Thank you
you.
for being there. Thank you for being there. Listen, I love this show. I just love it because it is not about Republican versus Democrat. It is about let's discuss the issues. And that is something that is so very, very important. Gilbert, I have to say, honoring Sheila Jackson Lee on your radio show is just pure genius because I loved her. Okay, she meant a great deal to me. I was at the funeral. I might have been one of the only white women there, but the point of the matter is I was invited. I got to go. I got to listen. I got to cry. I got to celebrate a woman who became my friend, and she was an amazing woman. I first met her when I moved from Mobile to Atlanta. And she became friendly to me in mentoring to me because I was teaching out at a Black university, a white woman out at a Black university. The Black university loved it. They invited me. They loved it. They wanted it. They needed it. It wasn't about Black and white. It was about the issues.
Yeah.
And you don't understand issues until you have issues explained to you from a Black perspective, from a white perspective.
Mm-hmm.
They can be two totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be discussed. It needs to be, we can agree to disagree, but we're not going to kill each other. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Right.
It's gotten to a point where you're very cautious about what you say and who you say it to, because you're not sure what's going to happen. Is your house going to get broken into? Is your trash going to get thrown all over your lawn? Are people going to come and break into your car? And it's sad to me that it's become that. So we become a little more cautious. We become a little more laid back in and of the fact that we're careful about what we say to who. One of the things I love about this show is the fact that you can call in and you can say what you need to say and you can talk about the issues because we never really know who exactly is going to be on the show and what the topic is going to be.
Well,
I absolutely love you, Gilbert. I love that you bring this to the table every single week. And I love you, Bishop. I think you are a marvelous human being who talks about the issues. We may not be able to solve every issue, and we may have to agree to disagree, but at least we can talk about the issue. I loved being at that woman's funeral. I love that woman. And, it wasn't about her Black skin. It was about the human being. She was a very giving human being, a very caring human being, a human being that just would consider both sides before making her decision because she would listen and she would offer her advice. And she's older than I am. Why wouldn't I take advice from an older human being? I just am going to miss her. And I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to miss her.
For sure.
I'm thrilled she had a good life. I wish she was still around. But, we can honor her in death and we can talk about the good things about her too. It doesn't always have to be a negative thing. It doesn't always have to be, she did this, she did that. She did what she felt was right. And what's popular isn't always right. What's right isn't always popular. I'm going to leave y'all with that and let y'all respond. And I'm going to say thank you to both of you. I love your show, Gilbert. And I love you, Pastor. I love you too.
God bless you.
Peace be with y'all. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Miss Lee, I hope you're still listening there, but you know what? That is the kindest thing. Thank you for saying what you said about the show and me. Thank you for what you said about Sheila Jackson Lee. And you know what? And Miss Lee's right about something, which is, why does it have to be so ugly running for office? Why can't it be like me? And I'm not bragging, but like me, Sheila Jackson Lee, Lee Kaplan was like that with me. Virtually we kind of all were. At the end of the day, we all wanted a better Houston. And I think, we just need to go back to that thing where being a elected official is honorable and we all want to do the right thing. And it's not about how can I tear down that person.
We should be able to debate issues without destroying individuals.
Amen.
And that's something that's missing today. We don't know how anymore to debate the issues without destroying individuals. And that people with such venom in their hearts and minds, Gilbert, that they're out to destroy people. And how is it that you're going to lead us to become a better society if you are destroying people strategically for political advantage? It just doesn't work. It's counterproductive. Civil discourse is so necessary.
Well, of course, we could go on and on about that. The blacklist
Sheila
journalist
demonstrated it.
Yeah, but we could go on and on about former President Trump and the things he said at the black journalist.
Oh my God!
It's outrageous.
Is she black?
Why is that even an issue?
Why is it an issue?
Why can it be just talking about her record and his record? Instead, he got into, and I didn't even know she was black, and now she wants to be black. I mean, she is who she is, and she's proud of who she is, and you don't need to even go there.
Well, when you're intimidated by what you cannot rise to the level of,
that's right.
You stoop to levels that are embarrassing, and now he's insulted himself drastically with that. But Kamala is brilliant. She is brilliant. She's bold, and she's black, and she's beautiful.
And she's beautiful.
And she's beautiful. Got to give it up for her.
Amen. I want to just do the first part of that clip, if we could. This is about Juneteenth, and when people talk about Juneteenth.
Now turn to
Go ahead, roll it.
Woman who fought to make today, Juneteenth.
Can people hear it? Because I can't hear it on my.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas joins me now by phone. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being here. I want to start with the fact that it was 2013 when you first introduced the Juneteenth resolution. You continued every single year until it finally became a national holiday. Can you explain to our viewers why it was so important to find the success that you finally did?
Good morning, and thank you so very much for having me and before your listeners. I want this to be part of America's history. I want people to rise up and consider Juneteenth a viable part of American history. I want the story to be a real story that our fellow Americans understand, no matter what their ethnic background. And of course, the story of Juneteenth is a story of freedom. It is the story of General Granger. It is a real story. And it is the story of General Granger literally showing up on the shores of Galveston and announcing to all of the people that the slaves were free. Heretofore, they were free. In terms of the Southern workers, they were not free. They were still slaves. So it is my goal, my hope, my prayer that we turn Juneteenth into America's holiday.
And it
Let's
is.
go ahead and stop it there.
Your
I think
was answered.
as we
are celebrating
reflect
today.
on that, let's go ahead and turn off that because I know we're running out of time. We only have about a minute or so. Juneteenth, it took a lot to get that. And you know what? It shouldn't have taken a lot to get that, but it took a lot.
It took far too much.
And at the end of the day, I just get so angry when people talk about critical race theory. No, that's history.
Right.
And think about all those slaves that were really free that didn't know it.
Right.
For 2 years, they lived these horrible conditions.
And
2 years.
continuing to produce wealth for slave owners and for the state and for the nation that they never got paid for.
That's right.
And Sheila, of course, was working on H.R. 40, which is a reparations bill. She worked on that very passionately. It never got done, but she understood that that kind of labor force producing this kind of wealth for this nation and good wealth around the world needed to be accounted for. So you have to give coverage credit for that. And Juneteenth, I work with Al Edwards. So I saw his struggle for over 20 years to get the Juneteenth holiday in Texas. Sheila worked for years, 10 years to get it passed as a federal holiday in the nation. And it took 100 times to get an anti-lynching bill.
God, come on.
In America.
That's crazy.
So that's crazy stuff. And we need to understand that we're still fighting that same element, which is why we've got to mobilize to vote in November.
You heard it here. I think we're out of time. I know we had several callers. We got about 3 seconds, 10 seconds. 30 seconds. This is Gilbert Garcia, Tip Gilbert saying, we'll see you next time.
This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia.
What a
Listen
show.
to my radio show,
And
Tip from
to everyone
Gilbert.
who called
Talk,
in,
inspiration,
thank you
and
for
prayer
calling in. I'm
every
talking over
Monday
the ad
from
because this is wonderful. I really enjoy this show. That's what it's for, to honor people, to honor, the society, all of us, a place for people to talk about what's going on at their church, their kids. Call into the show. It's at 832-570-8075. Sheila, we love you. We're going to miss you.
On Sand Geek Radio, 95.1 FM, 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio, 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.